The Rising of Shield Hero. Wait, if you've not seen the part 1 of me explaining this anime, watch it now. Please turn on your subtitles as there will be spoilers ahead. Naofumi is summoned by King Aultcray, who demands Naofumi reveal the secrets behind his overwhelming power of strength. Naofumi rebukes him and says he kneels before him and begs before he will reveal his secret. Enraged by Naofumi, who makes a mockery of him, he threatens to detain Raphtalia and Filo. But Naofumi warns him that if he makes a move on them, he will make the rest of his life a living hell. Naofumi embarks on a journey towards Shieldfreeden to work out on Raphtalia and Filo's class upgrades before the next wave. They are later met by Melty, who requests Naofumi to reconcile with King Aultcray. While Melty is trying to convince Naofumi, one of the bodyguards approaches Melty in an attempt to assassinate her, but Naofumi manages to deflect the soldier's attack. After a failed assassination attempt on Melty, the knights accuse Naofumi on taking Melty hostage. Realizing that they are no match for the Shield Heroes party, they retreat to the capital, where Naofumi finds a pendant of the Church of the Three Heroes. This religious organization worships the spear, sword, and bow hero while loathing the Shield Hero. The knights later go village to village and spread false rumors about the Shield Hero, kidnapping the princess, making them fugitives of the kingdom. Naofumi's group later finds themselves surrounded by the royal knights of the kingdom and by the Three Heroes. Melty explained that it was all a misunderstanding, but Mine insisted that the Shield Hero had brainwashed her, despite the lack of evidence, and ordered the knights to attack them. As Naofumi's party tries to escape, Mine blatantly attacks Melty without regard for her safety, leading to Itsuki and Ren doubting Mine's words. After managing to break away from the leading group, Naofumi relies on Ren to investigate the truth behind the assassination of Melty, while giving Ren the Church of the Three Heroes pendant. Later, the group is approached by one of the Queen's shadows, a secret group who reports directly to the Queen, and informs Naofumi that the Queen would like an audience with him. Naofumi decides to continue his journey towards Siltveld, as the capital's knights have already blocked all other roads. At the same time, Mine orders the knights to set the forest on fire to flush Naofumi's party out. As the group fast approaches the border to Siltveld, they discover that it's closed off by royal decree to keep their party from advancing. Left with no choice, Naofumi decides to meet with the Queen instead. As they progress through the forest, they later run into a nobleman, Van Rakenot, who apparently rules this part of the kingdom and is closely acquainted with Melty. Naofumi's party is welcomed with generous hospitality. The following day, a few knights arrested Rakenot and another nobleman, Idol Rabier, escorting Melty back to her mansion. He explains that Rakenot has been scheming with the demi-humans and has taken him into custody. Meanwhile, Naofumi's party manages to escape from the help of Rakenot's maids, while the demi-humans, who remain loyal to Rakenot, lay siege to Rabier's gates, demanding their master's release. Naofumi uses this chance to infiltrate the castle. Naofumi manages to enter the mansion unseen and successfully rescues Rakenot and Melty, while a furious Raphtalia confronts Rabier. It turns out that Raphtalia used to be a slave for Rabier and was tortured to death until she found herself with the slave trader Balukas. Rabier pitifully begs for his life and is at the mercy of Raphtalia's anger. In a gruesome flashback, Raphtalia's village was destroyed by the first wave, where she lost her parents to beasts at the time. The kingdom's knights later arrive and enslave the surviving villagers. Raphtalia and her best friend Rifana were sold to the nobleman Idol Rabier. Raphtalia's hope is ultimately crushed when Rifana dies from illness and meaningless torture. Meanwhile, back in the present, as Raphtalia is about to strike at Rabier in cold vengeance, she stops, realizing how much she has grown ever since she met Naofumi. Raphtalia decides to spare his life, but Rabier uses this chance to strike back at her when Raphtalia manages to attack him with a mana sword instead, and he falls from the window. Raphtalia guides them to the underground prison, where demi-human slaves are kept, only to find her old friend Keel barely alive. Raphtalia breaks down after seeing Rifana's remains left in the cell to rot and blames herself for abandoning her. Naofumi comforts her by saying that she has saved him despite the darkness of this world. Raphtalia promises herself to one day return to her village to help rebuild it and give Rifana the proper burial she deserves. Meanwhile, a still-living Rabier frees the ancient dinosaur-like dragon, killing Rabier and attacking Naofumi's group. The Shield Heroes party attacks the dragon beast that Rabier released. Melty notices that the dragon beast is wholly concentrated on Filo, so she suggests using Filo to lure it towards the lake to minimize the damage and casualties. Having drawn it towards the lake, Naofumi, Raphtalia, and Filo attack the dragon beast, but are useless against it. Suddenly, a massive Philolyle appears on the battlefield and easily defeats it. It later approaches the group and introduces itself as the Philolyle Queen, Fitoria. Fitoria then teleports the group to the Philolyle Sanctuary in a faraway ruin. Fitoria also shares that Philo's growth is primarily due to her being raised by a cardinal hero. She points out that the cardinal heroes' infighting has grave consequences and that while they are fighting amongst themselves, the entire world is fighting the waves, not just Melramer. She alone has been protecting the other nations from the ravaging waves as she fulfills her promise to the hero who raised her, but realizes that she might not be able to keep it up any longer. She urges Naofumi to make amends and reconcile with the other heroes, or else she will be forced to take it upon herself to kill the 4 heroes so that new heroes can be summoned. Meanwhile, Ren and Itsuki manage to trace back to the 3 Heroes Church and discover a hidden library in a ruin where an inconspicuous Melty closely observes them. The following morning, Fitoria takes Melty hostage to force Naofumi to reconcile with the other heroes. Fitoria challenges Filo to a duel to fully see Filo's potential as a Philolyle Queen candidate. Although outmatched, Filo manages to break through Fitoria's magic defense, whereby Fitoria accepts her and names Filo her successor. With that said, Filo is granted a massive increase in her basic stats, and Fitoria unlocks the Philolyle shield on Naofumi, which she cannot use yet. Fitoria warns Naofumi that he and the other heroes must make the difficult choice of saving the people or saving the world, 2 entirely different things. She also mentions that the 4 cardinal heroes are still too weak to defeat the waves, and that if she ever finds that if the cardinal heroes do not work together, she will have to make good on her promise to kill all of them. Fitoria also warns Naofumi about the Rage Shield's effects and never rely on its powers. Back at the capital, Ren and Itsuki find a passage to a hidden cave that opens to an underground library connected to the 3 Heroes Church. Suddenly, there's an explosion and the cave collapses. Once Naofumi's group is ready, Fitoria takes them to an outpost outside the capital, where they meet with the spear hero Moteyasu's group. Naofumi tries to reason with Moteyasu, who now accuses Naofumi of killing Ren and Itsuki. Mine affirms that the church, the same church that loathes the shield hero, has found evidence that Naofumi has killed the sword and bow hero. The heated conversation escalates into a battle when words are no longer enough. Naofumi's party manages to get the upper hand on the spear hero's party, when suddenly Filo senses imminent danger from above. Naofumi gathers the group and layers multiple shields on the party to defend against the mysterious attack. Suddenly, a massive ray of light covers the entire area where Naofumi and Moteyasu's parties are, which incinerates everything around them. Pope Balmus reveals himself with thousands of his devotees and followers who share that he was also responsible for the deaths of Ren and Itsuki as part of his plan to rid the world of these so-called false heroes and the corrupt nobility that is rotten to its core. The Pope then draws his magical sword and prepares to launch another attack on them. Melty immediately recognizes the sword that the Pope is wielding as an ancient weapon of Melramer that replicates the power of the 4 cardinal weapons. Naofumi and Moteyasu fight back, but cannot reach the Pope as thousands of the Pope's followers have offered their life to grant a formidable barrier. When everything seems bleak, Ren and Itsuki appear on the battlefield unharmed and explain that the Queen's shadow saved them just in the nick of time. They also added that the kingdom's army is on its way to assist the 4 cardinal heroes and is led by the Queen. As the other 3 heroes decide to work together, Naofumi declines their offer and would prefer to work alone. Naofumi points out the ignorance of their actions and that this has led the church to plan a coup d'etat. Left with no choice, Naofumi agrees to work together as he remembers his promise to Fitoria. Now the 4 cardinal heroes make a united stand against the Pope, who responds by casting a wide barrier that looks like a large cathedral. Even the combined attacks of the 4 cardinal heroes stand no chance against the Pope's barrier, as it not only grants him an impenetrable barrier, it also reinforces his attacks. To cast a more powerful spell, the Pope channels his followers' life energy, to which some have already collapsed or fainted. Naofumi is forced, yet again, to rely on the Rage Shield, but it does not affect the Pope. Naofumi gives in to the dragon's soul in his Rage Shield, where Raphtalia, Filo, and Melty snap him back to his senses. A united attack from Ren, Itsuki, and Moteyasu break through the Pope's barrier, while Naofumi charges with Filo and burns him with a Rage Shield. When they thought they had defeated him, the Pope channels more energy from his followers to heal himself. And just as he is about to attack them, the Queen uses a freezing spell on the Pope, immobilizing him. Naofumi uses this chance to attack him with the Rage Shield, with a blood sacrifice spell that uses his blood to cast a powerful attack on the Pope and kills him. The Queen's army apprehended the Pope's followers, introduced herself to the four heroes, and promised to save Naofumi's life before he fainted from the blood loss. Naofumi woke up from his deep sleep and spent 3 days recovering from his wounds. Queen Mirelia apologizes for all the troubles he had to go through in her absence. She explains that the original plan was to have each nation summon a hero to help fight the waves. The Queen gives her word to Naofumi to right every misdeed and encourages him to attend the court tomorrow. The following day, King Aultcray and Princess Melty, more known as her adventuring name, Mine, were stripped of their status and apprehended to be tried in court by the Queen herself. Mine was placed with a slave crest and questioned for her recent actions towards Naofumi and Melty. Mine confesses that Naofumi did not rape her while still adventuring with him. It was just a ploy to discredit the shield hero and be exiled from the kingdom. She also admits to the assassination attempt on Melty so that she could become the heir princess. Both Aultcray and Mine have been found guilty of their crimes and are sentenced to death. Just as they are about to be executed, Naofumi speaks up, claiming that death is way too lenient and that they must repent for their crimes for the rest of their lives. Naofumi suggested that Aultcray and Mine's names officially changed to Trash and Bitch Whore, respectively. In addition, the Queen has also abolished the Church of the Three Heroes and reinstated the religion that worships all four cardinal heroes equally. The Queen breaks down in tears in front of Melty as she reveals that she would have sacrificed herself had Naofumi not spoken up and intervened with the execution. Just as Naofumi's party exits the city, the people gather and bid the Shield Hero's party farewell, while Naofumi finally accepts his role as the Shield Hero. With all the misunderstandings cleared up, Naofumi's party is now granted the privilege of using the Cathedral's Dragon Hourglass for class upgrades. Naofumi gives Raphtalia and Filo the freedom to choose whatever upgrade they want. Naofumi notices a boost in their stats, but both Raphtalia and Filo could not select their upgrades, which the Queen presumes might have failed due to the blessing Victoria gave. The Queen holds a banquet for the four cardinal heroes, which was just a front to have the four heroes into a meeting to discuss amongst themselves. Meanwhile, at the banquet, a fight has broken out after Mauld, a knight in the employ of the bow hero, insults Naofumi in front of Raphtalia. Melty also reported that Bitch, previously known as Mine, had poisoned Naofumi's food. The Queen has candidly pointed out that if nothing improves by the next wave, the other three heroes will not survive the wave. With that being said, she also opened the topic on the upcoming event on Kalmyra Archipelago, a special type of event where anyone who trains on it will gain bonus XP. This is a rare opportunity for the heroes to level up just in time before the next wave hits. To efficiently maximize such an event, the other heroes share their understanding of how to level up their weapons and hidden functions. The discussion later devolves into an argument when their methods contradict one another and argue who has the better power leveling method. On their departure for Kalmyra, Naofumi discovers that the other heroes have already left. The other heroes have taken most of the kingdom's ships, leaving Naofumi's party to take the last boat and share room with a pair of mysterious travelers, Lark Berg and Teresi Alexandrite. Arriving at Kalmyra, Naofumi's party is greeted by Governor Habenberg, who escorts them to the resort inn. While the other heroes recuperate from seasickness, Naofumi's party heads out to grind some XP after just learning of a new boosting spell. Naofumi also manages to create new weapons for Raphtalia and Filo using materials they scavenged from the monsters they have already encountered on the island. At night, Lark and Therese come across Naofumi's group and decide to invite them for a party back at the inn. The next day, Lark and Therese join Naofumi's party to grind XP on the island, to which the duo takes their leave by sunset and thanks to Naofumi, hoping to one day meet again. While taking some time off at the beach, Filo finds an undersea temple where they discover a dragon hourglass in it and learn that the next wave will happen at Kalmyra in the next 48 hours. With no time to waste, Naofumi informs the Queen of the upcoming wave, where she manages to amass a large naval fleet. The Navy will deal with the small monsters, while the heroes must focus on the wave boss. As the heroes struggle to defeat the main boss, Lark and Therese join the battle and swiftly defeat it. The duo then later attacks the heroes, explaining that they are the heroes from another world that is also ravaged by the waves. They share that they need to kill the four cardinal heroes of this world to have this world be sacrificed to the waves' destruction to save theirs. Lark easily defeats the other 3 heroes, while Therese keeps the naval fleet at bay with her large-scale attacks. Naofumi confronts Lark and Therese, and with Melty joining in to help with their battle, they defeat Lark. Suddenly, Glass appears before them and commends Naofumi for becoming stronger from their last encounter. Glass introduces herself as comrades of Lark and Therese as their world's fan hero. Naofumi confronts Glass, who discovers that Glass is weak against the Soul Eater shield. He hesitates entirely, using it on Glass as he understands her predicament as she is also trying to save her world. Raphtalia manages to remind Naofumi that there are also a lot of people who need their protection of this world. Meanwhile, the Queen decides to help Naofumi's party by launching liquor barrels at Glass, which is quite effective as Glass finds herself a bit intoxicated. As the wave's time limit hits, Lark, Therese, and Glass retreat to their world, while Naofumi ponders at knowing that the waves ravage other worlds too. For his commendable performance at the last wave, the Queen has rewarded him Lordship of Sayat, the same village where Raphtalia grew up and saw through with rebuilding it back to its former glory. For more anime recaps like this, be sure to subscribe and hit the bell icon. As always, like and comment to help out our channel. Thanks for watching.